Hello, everyone. My name is Seth, and today I want to give you my review of Halloween. For my first Halloween season here on YouTube, I think it would only be fitting for me to review my favorite horror movie ever, which is Halloween. I'm really excited to talk about this movie, but before I go any farther, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. Halloween is one of the first horror movies I've ever saw growing up. I think the only one I might have seen before that, if you consider it horror, would be Jaws. And I remember I was about maybe 11 or 12 when I first saw this, and my mom showed it to me, and there, right from the beginning, I really liked this movie, and I think my appreciation of it has only grown over time and the multiple times I've seen it. Last year, I was able to get a 4K version made from the original negatives from the camera, and it's just so cool. I saw that in Target. No second thoughts about it. I had to get it right then and there. And to be quite honest, there's not really anything else that I can say about this film that hasn't already been said, but I'm just going to talk about what I love about this film. The film was written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, and it was also directed by John Carpenter, and he also did the music for this. And I love the music in this. It's iconic. He only did this in like 4 days, but even if you haven't seen the movie, I'm sure you would recognize the music. And even though he would not admit it himself, John Carpenter is an absolute master of horror. I mean, not only did he do this, like he did The Thing, he has a long list of great films on IMDb, and he's a horror master and a horror legend. He understands pacing so well, and you get that right from the start with that long, unbroken POV shot. And all throughout this film, they build tension so incredibly well, and they pay it off at the right time. And this whole film just works so well. It is really effective and creepy. There's a lot that's just unnerving about it. It doesn't rely on a ton of like unnecessary jump scares or a ton of blood or anything like that. It just kind of shakes you down to the core with just, it makes you uncomfortable in like the best kind of way. It puts you on the edge of your seat and you stay there. Another one of the things I absolutely love about this film, I think that makes it so special, is the cinematography. And the cinematography here was done by Dean Cundy, and he did such a great job. I love when he really like just lets the shot kind of linger. Like one of the shots that always sticks out in my mind is when like Laura's looking out of the window and she sees him standing like across the street, and he just kind of standing there. And then another one, again, that comes right to my mind when I think of Halloween and the cinematography is there after she gets out of the closet. She thinks she's incapacitated him. She's there kind of leaned up against the door frame. And then we're just sitting on that shot. And then in the background, out of focus, he just leans up and looks at her. Oh, that's so, so good. They do so much storytelling here with just cinematography. And the performance from Nick Castle, who played Michael Myers, who is credited as The Shape, that's just such a fitting name. He did such a good job. I mean, it's perfect. Nick Castle gave him such a unique like physicality and unique movement. It just really kind of unnerves you. You know, it kind of makes you feel uncomfortable, and it just looks unnatural. And The Shape is the perfect description for this character. I mean, along with the costume. The costume is simple, and I know you've probably heard this a million times at this point, but the mask is just a mask that they grabbed off the shelves. It's a modified Captain Kirk, William Shatner mask. It has that blank expression with like the unnatural color, and it's special. Like there's a reason why you see that mask, you know exactly who it is. It's iconic, and there's a reason why there's so many Halloween fans and so many horror fans who really pick apart the mask in some of the sequels, because it, other than I would say like the 2018 Halloween, it doesn't ever really look as good as it does in the first. And I mentioned them just having to get this mask off the shelves by themselves and kind of modify it. They kind of had to improvise with a lot of stuff because their budget was only $300,000 and it was shot in just 20 days. If I remember a story correctly, they had to use leaves that they'd gathered up to make it look like fall because they didn't really film in an area or a time where there was going to be a bunch of leaves on the ground. And so after each shot, they would have to run around and gather up those leaves. And a lot of this film is dark, like lighting wise. And that's kind of because of necessity. It ends up working really well, and it gives just such a really cool look to the film. It really helps kind of deepen some of these shadows and really helps some of these shots just add a little bit of extra just creep factor to it. All of that was because they couldn't afford any more lights than what they had. As far as the story goes, it's simple, but it's effective, which as the series goes on, the different films that come out after this, it gets needlessly complicated, but this works so well here. It's just simple, and there's a lot still kind of left up to your imagination, and I think that is better than trying to over-explain everything. I love how they don't give a reason to Michael Myers. I love how they don't try to give him this backstory. That's one of the things where I think the 2007 remake absolutely failed. They just had this character. They had the shape, and it just is what it is. Michael Myers is just evil, and that's it. That's really unnerving. And if you go back and watch this, if you're familiar with a lot of the different horror tropes, you'll probably notice a few here. Well, really, kind of for the most part, those were popularized here. It kind of started here. I mean, you even look at something like Friday the 13th, which admittedly by those producers is a ripoff from Halloween. So after Halloween came out, there were so many movies that were trying to do exactly what they did. The dialogue isn't always the best, admittedly, and some of the side characters maybe don't necessarily deliver all of that dialogue the best, but there's still some really, really good stuff here. Like, I love the exchange between Dr. Loomis and Laurie there toward the end, where she says, "That was the boogeyman, wasn't it?" And he says, "As a matter of fact, I'm afraid it was." Like, that is just so good. The two standout actors in this are, of course, Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode in her first ever role, and Donald Pleasance as Dr. Sam Loomis. I think it was interesting. Apparently, Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee were both approached by John Carpenter to be Dr. Loomis, and they both turned it down because of lack of pay, which I think that would have been interesting. Both of those guys are incredible actors, but Donald Pleasance fits this role so well, and he does so much heavy lifting for this franchise with all of the sequels that come out. He is like one of the most watchable parts of all of those multiple sequels. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis was great. This role and just kind of how she's been involved in horror and things like that, just kind of throughout her career, like, this established her as like the scream queen. She's one of the ultimate final girls. The character of Laurie Strode is really great, and it's just elevated by Jamie Lee Curtis's performance. This movie went on to be one of the most successful independent films of all time, and from this came like 12 sequels. I mean, there's like 3 or 4 different timelines. It's crazy. And none of them can live up to this original. I think it's a masterpiece of horror, and it is the best slasher film ever made. I got to give it a 5 out of 5 stars. It's a classic. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend doing so. Halloween is right around the corner, and there is no better time to have your first viewing of Halloween on Halloween. But that's it. That's my review of Halloween. Have you seen this film? I sure hope you have. Let me know what you think of the original Halloween down in the comments below. I mean, if you want to bring up some of the other Halloween movies, please do so. I'd love to have a conversation about those as well. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. We're getting closer and closer to 100 subscribers, so it really would make my day if you were to subscribe. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.